Money Moves with Myth 2.0, the podcast. And always remember, gentlemen, it's a motherfucking movie. So there's a lot of people, there's millions of Americans who are homeless or will experience homelessness in their lifetime. So a lot of people, when they become homeless, especially somebody who was successful, had a home, could go to sleep when they want to, could go take a shower, and then you end up homeless. A lot of people don't know how to maneuver through being homeless. So what ends up happening is we're seeing a lot of people who are homeless who end up staying homeless, you know, and it's like a chronic homelessness. But I'm here to tell you that being homeless is not as bad as you think it is. You actually can come up and have a better chance at becoming successful if you're homeless than most people who are not homeless, and you think that they're above you. So this is coming from you guys know me. You know that I was homeless off and on for 7-8 years. I done stayed in major cities, then maneuvered, and now I'm in a better position. Got driver's license, multiple bank accounts, credit cards, a home, a car. I'm doing a whole lot better. And so I remember when I used to be homeless, and I used to think that, I would get depressed. I wouldn't know what to do. This is my life. And then I just got used to being homeless. I didn't care what people thought about me, And that's another thing that a lot of people is going to take them time to do, is not caring about what people think about you, especially if you was the guy who was outgoing and flashy like I was, who wanted to be flashy and tell people all my business and stuff like that. So it hit me the most because I was a kind of like flashy type of dude. So I went from sleeping in different spots, sleeping at college universities in Houston, sleeping at the park in Florida. I'm in Atlanta homeless, you know what I'm saying? But what I did was I figured out how to become successful from being homeless. And the number one thing that I learned was that all the bills that other people had, I didn't have those bills. You got people out here paying $2,200 in rent, meaning that all of their money from their job is going to rent, their car payment, their phone bill, and other things. So they're one paycheck for being homeless. So as being homeless with no bills, with really no debt, because I didn't know about credit back then. And then coming from being homeless, learning how to embrace my homelessness. Meaning, like, when I first was homeless, I would try to hide that I was homeless. I put myself in a position where I didn't care about what people thought about me. I stopped seeking advice from other homeless people. It was a time I was a young man and I was homeless for years. And I used to listen to homeless people and think that these guys knew what was best and stuff. I didn't know how to think for myself. And then I realized that homeless people are homeless and they can't teach me how not to become homeless because they're still homeless, you know. So I didn't know how to take little things from a conversation and apply it. So what I had to do was I noticed that all the other homeless people usually gathered around the same places. So what I would do was I would go to a place and get my mail. You know what I'm saying? I get my ID and my social. I didn't have driver's license back then. I would go get my ID and social. And then I would go get a job, whether it was temp service or day labor. And then I learned about multiple sources of income, meaning that when I was homeless, I lived in a state like Atlanta or Houston or Florida where I can sell things. Like I used to sell cold sodas in Houston. Then I would go to work. Then next thing you know, I noticed that if I went to work and I stopped going, I used to stop eating out as a homeless person. I used to get money and I'd eat out all the time. Then I stopped eating out and I would go to the grocery store in the wintertime and I would get cheap food that would last me the whole week. You know, and then next thing you know, my bank account started growing, 1,000, 2,000, because I didn't have no bills. The only bills I had was a social security. The only bills I had was a phone number, my phone bill. Most homeless people we don't have bills, but even if you got a storage unit and a phone and you went to work and you slept outside, you can become way more successful than the average person with a job because you're saving money. A lot of people don't have the luxury of saving money because they got mortgages, they got rent, and they got other bills. So now you got money and you don't have bills, you're not tired, you don't have any children. I didn't have any children back then. Now I do. I didn't have children back then. And I didn't have to worry about anything. I could save up $10,000 and not tell anybody that I saved up. I would go to work and I would not go off and buy Jordans and try to look good. I would continue to look homeless or average because when you're homeless, other homeless people, they beg a lot. And even people with jobs, they're going to beg you because they think you got money. So now I used to sleep on park benches with thousands of dollars in my pocket and nobody knew it. They still treated me like I was homeless. I would go out and get food for homeless places sometime, live below my means. I got a secure credit card. Then I started using it and paying it off every month. And my credit skyrocketed from a 450 to over a 720. And then I ended up with a bunch of credit cards and vehicles and stuff like that. And the thing about it is you too can become successful. Being homeless is not a dead end street. You might be doing better than the next person. And I'm gonna leave y'all with that. And I'm gonna holler at you guys on the next video. Over and out.